Welcome, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Our numbers are jumping up on the screen below. We'd love to hear from you, which area, city or area that you're tuning in from in the chat. So just pop in a little hello and where you're tuning in from. We'd love to hear from you. And we'll be starting shortly. So I'll just have a little peruse to see where everyone's tuning in from today. Maisie from Winchester, hello. Joyce from Croydon, hello. Christchurch, Dorset. Edinburgh, brilliant. Southampton and London, near Reading. Northern Ireland, hello. From Brixton. Northampton, Newcastle, all over the UK. That's fantastic. York and Newbury. Brilliant. Well, thanks so much, everyone. It's great that you've joined us. Thanks so much for your punctuality today. Super delighted to be hosting this webinar in collaboration with Warner Bros. Discovery and their CrewHQ trainee program in production accounting, which we'll be learning more about. And I've got some fantastic speakers joining us here today too. Firstly, I'm going to touch on Creative Access. So if you haven't already heard about us, we are a social enterprise working to make the creative industries reflect society, and we provide career-long access to opportunities, support and training to support from underrepresented groups. And this may be in terms of ethnicity, disability, lower socioeconomic status or other barriers to employment. This is a lovely photo from our 10-year anniversary a couple of years ago. All of our amazing alumni. I think we've recruited over 2,500 trainees to date. So yeah, massive accomplishment. But what we'll be covering today, you'll have the opportunity to learn more about the CrewHQ training program in production accounting. You'll find out details on Warner Bros. Discovery's Leavesden. You'll find out more about what training you'll receive, making the most of networking opportunities, all about roles and career pathways in the film and TV production. Also, what further opportunities there may be to interview for paid placements at Warner Bros. Discovery, how to apply and make your application stand out, and also eligibility criteria for this specific program. Without further ado, I am delighted to introduce our panel for today. So firstly, Jackie Campbell, who's the CrewHQ Programme Manager. We're also joined by Dominic Tucker, the Financial Controller at Warner Bros. Discovery, along with former trainees, Justine Aina, a CrewHQ Accounts Trainee, and Gabrielle Palmer, also a CrewHQ Accounts Trainee. And I'll now hand over to Jackie to explain more about this specific amazing opportunity. Well, Jackie, just need to turn on your audio.
Good start. Hello, welcome everyone. It's great to have you with us. So to start off with, I just want to do a little bit about CrewHQ. So CrewHQ is the new online training facility based at Warner Brothers Studios Leavesden. It's built for crew by crew. It's all about training not only new entrants but also existing crew as well. And we are here to support people at all levels and all stages of their career. And before I start to talk about the program, I'd just like to show you a quick film about CrewHQ.
It might not look like much now, but it takes something really special to turn this into this. Crews of thousands doing hundreds of jobs, all with amazing different skills, training and backgrounds.
That's impossible.
Making the impossible possible. And not just here, but also here. They make Merseyside into Gotham. Turn natural history into fantasy. And even turn beaches into battlefields. You see, the truth is, it's the talent off camera. that makes the magic possible. And we're here to support them. Located in the iconic Warner Brothers Studios, Leavesden, home of the industry's biggest film and TV franchises, our bespoke training centre offers free training and development for crew at all levels, work experience programs on and off set, careers days, increasing awareness of roles behind the camera, and we fund additional placements in all departments on productions across the country, all in support of a growing community and to inspire and welcome behind-the-scenes talent nationwide. Discover your potential.
Our hearts remain as one.
Ideas live forever.
We are CrewHQ.
So as you can see, there are an awful lot of roles in production. You notice that screen just there with all the different potential job roles that you can do in production. And we're here, the CrewHQ training program is here to provide a very visible pathway into this amazing world of film and TV production. And we do work across all departments, but this particular recruitment is we're only looking for people who want to work in production accounting. So yeah. It's a fantastic pathway into the industry. The training is based here at Warner Brothers Studios in Leavesden, and then there will be opportunities to interview for paid placements after the training. It gives you phenomenal access to behind the scenes of a film or TV production that's filming at the time, plus amazing training that's delivered by crew or expert industry people as well. So it's a great program. I'm going to talk a bit more about the program in a bit, and then the recruitment process as well. But I think at this point, it'd be really good to hear a bit more about production accounting and kind of the roles that you might be working in if you were to be successful in getting onto this program. So first of all, we're very lucky to have Dominique Tucker here, who is a financial controller on a production at the moment, and she can talk a little bit about her career and what it's like working in production accounts.
Thanks, Jackie. Yeah, I didn't ever intend to start off in this industry. It was an industry I'd, never really given a thought past kind of actors and actresses. And I had finished my degree and just ended up hearing about a job, like so many others, through a friend of a friend, and started out in accounts as a runner, just like Gabe and Justina are doing now. And many years later, here I am sat as the head of department, and it's been a really fantastic journey. It's given me so much more than I could ever have imagined. I've been able to travel the world with this film, with this career. I've worked in places like Colombia and Jordan, Estonia, Tenerife. I've been, really fortunate to get to experience so much that I didn't think possible. And, having come into this, not thinking that I don't come from an accounts background. I studied law. My degree had nothing to do with film as a whole or accounting in any way, shape or form. However, the skills that I learn and the skills that I feel are crucial to this role, things like logical thinking, organization, problem solving, forecasting. Obviously, there is a need for some financial or mathematical knowledge. I think if you don't love numbers, then this job definitely is not one for you. But I don't want people to come into this thinking that you have to have a background in accounting or be a chartered accountant. I'm none of those things, and I feel I've had a really successful career. And it's not something that would ever stop me looking for anybody to hire. It's not a prerequisite on any CVs that come in. I'm really looking for people that are practical, that come with initiative. A lot of the training that we do is very unique in the sense that there'll be no other job that really will do things this way, and so you'll learn a lot on the job. I've learned everything that I know from my peers and through people who have taught me, so it really is a fantastic career path for anybody who feels that they have an affinity with numbers, that they want to be a part of something bigger. I think film, even just watching that video now, it excites me to see all those things. It excites me to be in a production office and to hear and see the things going on and come to life. And it's a way to be a part of that, but still exist within the world of numbers that I feel comfortable with.
Brilliant. Thank you. And there'll be an opportunity to ask Don questions later, if you have questions. And Laura, I've completely jumped in where you were going to speak. Laura, you're on mute.
Thank you. I just want to let everyone know that whilst our speakers are sharing their career insights and more details about this opportunity, you can post questions in the chat. There's a Q&A function, and once you've popped those in, we've got some pre-prepared questions. Thanks to those of you that sent questions in advance. There's going to be an upvoting opportunity as well for you to upvote the most popular questions, but essentially let us know your questions all the way through, and we'll come to those at the end. And I'll pass back to Jackie.
Okay, I think now we're going to we've got a little video to show you first of kind of the training program that just ran recently back in May this year, which Justina and Gabriel were a part of. So that'll be a nice sort of introduction to the content of the 2 weeks training. And then we're going to hand over to Justina and Gabe to do a little bit about their journey to date.
To come here and be at Warner Bros. Studios Leavesden is just insane.
It's all just super exciting, walking past all the stages and everything and seeing all the building work going on.
Really, really fantastic staff, really, really friendly faces to greet you in such a big, overwhelming studio at first.
The CrewHQ trainee program is all about creating a real pathway into production. It's very open and inclusive.
To find out that I'd got in and I was one of 20 people, it was exciting.
But the access that these guys have had to crew, to facilities, is just awesome.
The experience I've had so far is student films and things like that. For me, it's getting that insight into what's out there. This course seems to really give an introduction into what all the different departments do.
It's kind of like a head start in the industry. It's incredible.
You're cutting through about 5 years and you're going straight into working on some of the biggest shows in the UK.
Before I started the training programme, I was definitely anxious. I'm used to being on smaller scale things, nothing in the scale that Warner Brothers delivers, so I'm really excited to learn.
CrewHQ are there to support you the whole time and everything is so clear. Seeing all the different departments, you're actually kind of learning from the basics up.
They've had practical training on CV writing, interview skills, as well as key production terminology, paperwork processes, etc. So they are as prepped as they ever could be for starting on production.
We had a session today where we did sort of interview speed dating with a lot of very senior people within our field of interest.
It was great to give advice of how I got to where I am, also what skills I look at when hiring crew members.
It makes you realise that this is actually a whole industry, that's something that I want to go into, something that hopefully I will be in the future.
I think it's such an amazing opportunity to talk to people you would normally not get to talk to if you were just starting out.
It's crazy and I never thought that I would be in this position, but I'm so grateful that I am.
Okay.
Amazing. Cool. So you may have spotted Justina in that video if you're particularly beady-eyed, but essentially I'm just about to introduce our final speakers, Justina and Gabriel. And Gabriel and Justina are going to share their trainee experience and placement journey to date. So I'll hand over to them both.
Hi. Thank you. Who should go first? Should we go in chronological order, Gabe?
Yeah. What's starting?
Okay, why don't you go first and talk about why you want
Yeah.
to work in the accounts department and what your journey to date has been?
Me, sorry.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so hi everyone, my name's Gabe. I took part in the CrewHQ trainee program back in May and June of this year. Since then, I've been working with Dom at Pinewood for about the last 3 months. I've been on placement. In terms of my background, like Dom, I didn't come from a sort of financial background in terms of education. I graduated with a mixed humanities degree from the University of Bristol in 2022. From there, like probably many of you have felt, I felt a bit of panic about finding work. So I sort of went on a mass applying spree, and yeah, I landed a job working as a financial administrator in an independent financial advisory firm. And throughout that sort of work experience, I found that despite what I had done so far throughout my sort of education, I had a real affinity and very much enjoyed the actual underlying mechanics of working in finance. So in terms of the problem solving, making sense of like large data sets, the forecasting, learning to use and implement like various software tools, and sort of making sense of something that's originally like a jumbled mess. And I found that sort of very, very satisfying. So in a way that sort of surprised me, but I very much wanted to continue in that line of work. But in terms of the overarching industry, I was in sort of working in finance in London. I found the sort of day-to-day became a little bit mundane after a while, like taking the same train to work, doing the same, sitting in the same place with the same people. It was very like working on the same clients. It was very samey. So I wanted to sort of transfer the skills and the sort of passion I had for the numbers and financial work to an industry I was more passionate about. And through my degree, I developed a real affinity to the sort of creative arts and the creative process. So through a recommendation of a friend, he referred me to production accounting, which I didn't even know was a sort of career choice, which is, I think, part of why we need to spread sort of more awareness to it. But yeah, so I feel like for me that really combined the two worlds I was interested in very neatly. Yeah, and then I found the CrewHQ program, and from there I haven't really looked back since. So that's only been 3 or 4 months. But yeah, I feel in terms of how the CrewHQ program sort of helped me transfer the skill set I developed professionally into the industry of film, I think it's having that sort of preliminary understanding of all facets of film production that the program gave me, which I think if you go straight into work, obviously you will get the general gist and you can do your sort of day-to-day stuff. But I don't think you necessarily have the opportunity to develop that understanding between what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, the POs, the invoices, organizing the mailbox, the various filing systems. I don't think you can really develop, well, I don't think you have as good an opportunity to develop the link between what you're doing and how that relates to the wider sort of macrocosm of the film industry. And I feel like, as Dom said a few days ago, I think, she said, we in production accounts, we're not just sort of data processors. We're there to really look at things analytically and sort of see if things are awry and if there's any problems with anything, and really question what we're doing and the information that's given to us. And I think having that sort of understanding of all the costs involved, the manpower involved for each department, the hierarchies and structures within the departments, you know, the costs of cameras, the cost of lenses, the costs of tracks, I think that really helps with sort of developing that connection between what we're doing and the sort of broader film industry. And it helps you sort of realize potentially if there are any problems with the financial material you're analyzing. And I think, yeah, it really gives you a sort of leg up in that regard and helps you sort of adjust and transfer into the industry.
Brilliant. Thank you, Gabe. That was very insightful. Justina, how about your journey? Because it's slightly different, wasn't it?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Yeah, it was. So my journey, I started out in theatre, actually. I started out as a theatre producer, so I had some familiarity with like invoices, the negotiation processes, how the finances dictate like the health of a creative project. But one of the things that I wanted more of was scale, which was why I was quite interested in like the film and like high-end TV industry to begin with. So when a friend sent me through the application for this on WhatsApp, I was just like, yeah, sure, absolutely. Like Gabe, I was in, well, more of an application spree than like a job spree. So I was, yeah, a bit into applying for things at that point in time. And I'm just so very happy that I applied for this and I put aside the time. One thing I would say as well is I'm very grateful for like the friends that I have around me, because I did like 2 passes of my application on my own, and then I got someone to have a look at it for me, because it just sometimes it helps to have an extra pair of eyes. And I think coming from the theatre world and like the general like collaborative storytelling world, I'm very much used to working in a team, and like coming to like Warner Brothers Leavesden is a lot more of that, working collaboratively to create something really cool. So yeah, application process. And then coming on board, I got a bit of time to get my like affairs in order. So because I was not freshly graduated, I graduated a while back now, I had to end some contracts and then organise moving from Manchester, where I'd lived for 12 years, coming down to Hemel Hempstead, where I live now. So thanks to like the advice of Jackie and then like Demi, who's also part of the CrewHQ team, and had previously done some training with CrewHQ as well. They signposted me to places like crew rooms, and there's a website as well where it's for like creative people on the move. And I was able to find a 2-bed place with another CrewHQ member called Sophie. And we moved in, and now we're on the lot working together on different shows. But it was a collaboration with Jackie, thankfully, to just work around, like obviously the schedule of things over on the show that you interview for, but then your like life that you're transitioning from as well. So that was a really lovely thing that happened. In terms of where I'm at now, I'm actually on week 2 of my placement in the Warner Brothers head office, which is different from working on production. And I have to keep that in the back of my mind. So what I'm finding quite interesting, finding quite interesting is being able to see the full life cycle of a show. And one of the reasons why I followed the numbers, because like Dominique, like I didn't take any courses in mathematics. I actually trained as an actor and realized that certain things weren't happening in a way that I was satisfied with. So I then started learning more production roles. And then from production roles, I started digging into the finances of things by asking to look at budgets. So I just really followed my love of numbers and organization to this position. I can't quite remember what I was saying before that, so I'm going to pick a different train of thought.
Only about another 30 seconds.
Magic. I feel like I've covered a lot of things. Oh, thank you. I'm going to sum it up with a nice bow. So working at Warner Brothers head office and seeing like the development process, production process, and then after exhibition, after it's been in cinemas or after it's gone on streaming, and understanding that there is so much to the production accounts world for film and high-end TV and even TV itself. And there's so much opportunity for growth, collaboration, meeting new people, understanding the different elements of like production accounts and working with like payroll or working with accounts payable, which is essentially like if you need a cherry picker here or if you need a ream of fabric there. And it's just being able to see the story being told through the numbers, I find entirely exciting. So yeah, wrapped with a bow.
That's brilliant. Thank you. That's perfect. Yeah, so if you're curious about how much things cost, a little bit nosy, this is quite a good job to be in. So just quickly to sort of sum up on the CrewHQ program, so the program is 2 weeks long, the training bit of it, and that will be at Leavesden Studios. And as Justina and Gabe have said, and the video explained, we get lots and lots of crew in to sort of give insights, introductions to all the different departments. Even if you're working in accounts, whatever department you're in, you get access to all the other departments to see how they work and how they work together, because particularly with accounts, you work across all the departments on the production. There's not one single production department you don't work with. So it's important that you understand what they do and how they run, so you can service them in the way that they need. We also do lots of generic stuff around set etiquette and sort of resilience training, because it's long hours, it's hard work, we will help support that, but it's important that we give you the tools to better to manage that. It's a world which has a whole wealth of unique terminology, expressions, and systems that, again, the 2 weeks training tries to introduce you to some of that. So when you walk onto set, you understand some of the terminology that's peculiar only to this business. We give you guidance on how to be a freelancer, because everyone who works in this business is a freelancer. They move from production to production to production. And we also we have workshops on CV prep and interview practice, because the way a CV is prepared for industry is different to how it's outside the industry. So again, we will help prepare our trainees to be on as much of a front foot as possible, as prepared as they ever can be for life on production. So, and after the 2 weeks of training, you will then be eligible to interview for some of the productions that are here at Leavesden. There can be no guarantees that we will get everyone work. It's not possible to guarantee that, because productions move around all the time. But I mean, even at this point, we're now about coming up for 3 months, I suppose, after the last 2 weeks ended, and 17 out of 22 are currently placed. But they all took that on, knowing that there was no guarantees. So just to manage expectations there. But we are here to support through the duration of the 12-month sort of tenureship. To be eligible to apply, you must have the right to live and work in the UK. You must have GCSE or O-level in maths, and that's grade 4 or grade C or above. And really, really want to work behind the scenes in production accounts. And before I sort of go on to talk through the actual recruitment process, the application process, I just want to bring in Dom here quickly to talk a little bit about the importance of wanting to work in production accounts.
Yeah, I mean, I've through the time I've been in a position to be able to hire people, I can count, there's been countless people that come to me and wanting to use accounts as a way into other departments. We're fortunate in accounts that we are the first people on the job and the last people off the job. So we get this really nice run of time. And so we're quite a secure department, and we're also quite a relatively sizable department. And so people, because there's this demand and a lack of people out there wanting to do the job, people will often use it as a segue in. And I can't tell you how disheartening it is and how off-putting it is to hear that people want to use it as a way to get to another department. The people that I work with, the people that are in the office out there now, they're people that I've worked with for years, and I really invest in those people. I invest in training them personally. We are all freelancers, so any time that I give to them is not for my future, it's for their future, because they'll go off and they have the choice at the end of this whether we come back together or they go off in a different direction. So to ask a freelancer, to ask people to want to hire you, to invest time in you, and to give you the skills to need to progress, I think you have to really think long and hard about that decision of, is this something that I really want? Because it is an industry where reputation is everything, and it's a small industry, and for the good or for the bad, we all talk. We all lean on each other and ask for references. And so if it's not something that you want, you'll do more damage to your long-term aspirations by trying to come in through the back door than you would if you would just kind of hold out for the one that's right for you. And as hard as it is sometimes getting into this industry, with things like CrewHQ coming along, there's more and more possibilities to finding the right fit. So really do hold out for that right fit. But if accounting's what floats your boat, then I can't wait to meet you all, hopefully.
Brilliant. Thanks, Dom. And just to say, before I progress to the application process, we will be opening applications again for general crew in September. So if that's more where your aspirations lie, please hold out for that window of opportunity, not this one. But for all of you accountants, like Dom says, we're really keen to get applications from you, and we're keen to hear from you. So I would think most of you have been to our website already, so we'll have seen kind of the application process, but it's all online to start with. There is a set of questions there, which I'll go through in a moment. But also there is a set of links which takes you through to job profiles on the Screen Skills website. These are 3 job profiles that work in accounts, and you will see on those job profiles, it talks about the role itself, but it also talks about what skills a person who wants to do that job needs to have. And most of those skills are very transferable. You know, obviously we want people who are good with numbers, who like numbers, but also it's people who have got good attention to detail, who are organised, who are good team people. You know, you'll see all the skills anyway. So I really do recommend that you click on those links and you have a look at those job profiles, and you have a look at the type of jobs that you could progress to ultimately. Obviously, we're starting here as a clerk, but you could progress on to being a payroll accountant or a first accountant in accounts payable. And so have a look at those jobs. Once you had a think about that, what kind of skills you think you would bring. It's also important to say at this point, actually, our minimum age is 18, but there is no upper age limit. We are open to everybody and really welcome applications from all different walks of life and career transferers, etc. Everyone is welcome. Obviously, it will be an entry-level wage, so that needs to be borne in mind. But aside from that, we really do welcome applications from everyone. And we had people in there from their sort of early 20s through to 50-ish on the current cohort. So, you know, we have got a real mix. Okay, so you have an application form, you'll see the questions. But once you start the application form online, you will not be able to pause it, come out and come back later. So we recommend that you have a look at the questions, prepare the questions, have the answers ready, and then you can just either copy and paste or record your audio submission. So let's go through the questions. So first one is, tell us about the moment you knew you wanted to work in the film industry behind the scenes, or tell us a story of when you first fell in love with film and why. And for that question, there's a word limit of 300 words or a time limit of 2 minutes. Please don't submit, you won't be able to submit more than the 300 words, and we stop listening after 2 minutes on the audio file. The reason there's no videos is because the application process is entirely blind. We don't see any details of the applicant, and the readers don't see any details of the applicant until we get to the interview stage. And this is, again, to make us as equitable and inclusive as possible. The second question is, we're looking for people with little or no experience working in high-end TV or film. We're interested in hearing what transferable skills you may have from outside of the industry that may be applicable to this chosen role of accountancy in the accounts department. Again, you have 300 words for that one, or a 2-minute audio submission. Where do you hope to be in 5 years' time is the next question. You have 150 words for that and 1 minute in audio. If you didn't get this opportunity, what would be your next steps? 150 words or 1 minute. And also, what would you say are your core traits and how do you think they would benefit the industry? And again, you have 150 words and 1 minute. Okay, so again, to say we're not looking for anyone with direct accounts experience or production experience. You can be completely new to the industry. We want to help those people, those of you perhaps who don't have contacts to the industry, don't have other ways in. This is a way to cut through that, and we can help support your route in. So we're looking for people who have got organizational, numerical, financial, Excel, or other production relevant skills, but you don't have to have the experience. It's all transferable skills. The application window closes at midnight on Bank Holiday Monday, the 26th of August. All applications will be read by 2 crew readers. So it's very important that we have crew involved with this recruitment all the way through the process. And so it starts off, every single application is read by 2 readers. And again, they'll only be able to see the answers to the application questions, not any process personal information. Once we have our shortlisted interview, successful applicants will be invited by email to interview. Those who are not progressing will also receive an email to say that unfortunately they're not progressing, and it will not be possible to give feedback because we are expecting a lot of applications. It's not possible to give individual feedback. So the interview is a 20-minute online interview, and we will request CVs and evidence of right to work in the UK, live and work in the UK, and also your GCSE maths results. And then the final stage for those people who progress through the interview stage is an in-person assessment day here at Leavesden Studios, which is a fantastic day, which will give everyone who attends, they will have insight in how to get in, top tips, networking opportunities, opportunities to meet crew, etc., etc. So whether you are successful in getting onto the program after that day or not, you will definitely receive a benefit in attending. It's for everyone to get a benefit, whether you're successful or not. So interviews will take place in September, the assessment day in November, and the training program itself commences on the 25th of November for those 2 weeks. Okay, so I think that's all the information for now. I just think before we open up the floor for questions, I don't know whether Gabriel or Justina have any final reflections you want to add at this point about the process, any sort of top tips that you want to give for, you've been through the recruitment process, you've been through the application, how did you find the interview or the assessment day?
I think about in terms of tips for the assessment day, I think, it's pretty basic, but still very important. I think basically just be friendly, be approachable, and try and talk to as many people as possible. They're not necessarily assessing the sort of ideas you come up with on the assessment day. It's more about how you sort of behave with people, how you interact, how you put yourself out there. So yeah, I think generally keeping that in mind. And I think as well, as opposed to sort of some other more traditional corporate assessment days, it is quite a sort of relaxed environment. Obviously, ultimately you are being assessed, but as Jackie said, it's very beneficial, the resources they give to you. We got taken on a bus tour around the studios. It didn't feel as much, it wasn't a very sort of tense environment. It was an enjoyable experience in of itself. And I think on that note, when you are in your groups and you're doing your sort of assessment, I would recommend try not to be like overly competitive with people. Try not to sort of speak over people. If someone's maybe not contributing as much, try and bring them into the group discussion. Just be, very, very amicable and conversational, and just enjoy it basically.
Brilliant. Thanks, Gabe. I'm glad you found it, you thought it was fun. That's good. That was the aim. Justina?
Yeah, I think Gabe said a lot of really helpful and inspiring things. For one thing I would like to say is a lot of the assessment, Gabe and I were together and we're both here. So I think that just goes to show how it's more about how you get along with people rather than trying to best anyone. And another thing I would say would be it's very cliche, but just be yourself. I cannot stress enough how quirky I am. Not on purpose, it just happens, but it's part of being able to navigate how you are with people, is to just offer something small and see what they offer you back and see how you're able to collaborate. And that's a lot of what happened during the discussions on the assessment day. It was just a lot of collaborative problem solving. It honestly felt like a game of Dungeons and Dragons, to be honest, just like real world examples. And one of the things that I really loved about the assessment day outside of the assessment itself was the opportunity to have a presentation by Matt Gallagher, the man who created Call Sheet, the website, to get some time with him in person and just hear the wealth of knowledge that he has. It just makes the day just useful in and of itself. And don't forget as well, there are a bunch of people that you're going to be with who want to do the exact same thing as you want to do. So it's, even if you don't get through, it's definitely worth staying in touch with the people that you get to meet and seeing what might happen off the back of that. A lot of future work is the people that trust you, the people that you vibe with, and the people that trust your skills. And like the assessment day would be a perfect opportunity to like network and start that even before the 2 weeks. So
brilliant. Thank you, Justine. That's fabulous. I guess Laura, you'll be our question master.
Yes, so we've got lots of questions coming in at the chat, and I've got some pre-prepared and asked in advance as well. I'm going to just tackle a couple of easy questions first. So Jackie, how many people are invited onto the training programme?
There are 5 places to apply for.
Brilliant. And how often does this run? Is it an annual thing? Will there be future opportunities?
It's a little bit flexible because we try and align it with the amount of production that we've got. So we're trying to make sure that as much as possible, we will run schemes when we know we will have production for placements. But yeah, so they will definitely run at least, well, this is the second recruitment we've done this year. And we'll probably do the same next year, probably 2 recruitments again next year.
Thank you. And now I've got a question for our trainees. Justina and Gabriel, could you take us through like what an average working day looks like? Tell us, when do you start? What happens roughly hour by hour? And when do you finish?
Cool. So I start at 9:30. The day begins with emails from either firsts on productions or second assistants on productions, asking for the money that they need for either the day or the week. And I fill that in and make sure that our treasury knows that that's happening. And then I'll filter through for some invoices and making sure that they are accounted for, and everyone that needs to be aware of them is, and make sure that production over the way in next door's office, if I have any questions for them, I just say hi, have a bit of a coffee with them, or tea. I don't really drink coffee, and like get to understand what their logistics are, what their travel logistics are, that would then need paying for and they would invoice for. And it's a lot of collaboration between the 2 departments over here where I am. And then I have some lunch, have a chat with people that might be on other productions that were on the course. And then the rest of the day is, what am I doing today? A lot of manual reading. There are lots of processes in place, lots of applications to learn about. So there's like PSL Plus, Crew Start, etc. If you want to give that a Google or a YouTube beforehand. And then my day ends.
Brilliant, thank you. And that's in week 2 of the placement you're currently in, is that correct?
Well, week 1. Week 2 is a little bit different now that I've got access to like most of the applications that I need, but I'm waiting till Friday to process that.
Cool, thank you. And Gabriel, for you, where are you at in your journey and what does your average day look like at the moment?
Okay, so mine's actually a bit more varied at the moment. I recently swapped from being a clerk more on the AP side, so managing the AP inbox, saving down invoices. We did a few sort of exercises where we were trained on entering POs into the system, but I've swapped more onto the payroll side. So those kind of duties include, well, I have a few extra ones as well. So I sort of manage when we order the production cards, which is basically where people sort of spend petty cash, because obviously petty cash now isn't done physically. So I sort of look at the ordered list that the production accountant's done. I collect them from the post room and then I hand them out and basically give them basic instructions on how to use them and the procedures for sort of uploading envelopes and reconciling your transactions. And that's a really fun part of the day because you get to speak to all of the different departments and people generally quite like you from the moment you sort of step in because you're the one giving them the card. So that's nice. Instead of being the person telling them they can't do something, you're sort of enabling them to go out and spend. But yeah, now sort of general daily things. I do mileage forms where I track all the mileage people are claiming back through the production. I look at the journey lengths. I see if they're claiming VAT, if they're a VAT registered company, and if they've added the net onto the receipts. And I do the petty cash vouchers as well. I also do all the above the line, which is, they reference it as ATL in the sort of industry jargon. I do the weekly filing for that payroll, which again, if you're nosy, that's very interesting because you get to see all the heavy hitters' salaries and how they get paid and the sort of unions they get paid through. There's quite a few different ways of one individual getting paid their salary because of the way the sort of American unions interact. Yeah, so I do all that, and I generally just pick up any job anyone will give me around the office or any opportunity to learn. Everyone's been very sort of keen to show me new stuff and teach me new stuff. I've done some entering of envelopes into Cache and then uploading them into PSL. So I actually have my own batches on occasion that get sort of processed on Thursday. So that's nice to see. And yeah, it's been quite a variety of work I've had so far.
Oh, thank you. And just kind of straight off the back of that question, what's your favourite part of the job, Gabriel?
Favorite part of the job? Oh, that's it's quite a big question. As I said, I do very much like handing out the production cards. I do like being able to sort of, if you have that sort of problem solving brain, sort of entering things into PSL is actually quite exciting because you get to see all the different ways people compress a lot of information into 1 or 2 lines and how you can sort of decode it from there and sort of learn from other people how they like to phrase things and the justifications, because because the way we work, every sort of letter or number has a lot of sort of justification and reason and thought gone in behind it. So sort of going through that, I can sort of work backwards into seeing people's seeing the way in which people like things to be processed, and going backwards and working through that thought process, I think is very interesting.
Lovely. And I'm going to go to Justina and then next to Dominic. So Justina, what's your favourite part of the role so far?
So far, so in week 2, part of what I really enjoy is as I'm processing invoices, just having a look on like the websites that come through on the invoices and seeing like the activities that our vendors or our companies that we're working with have done and how they then like feed into the current project, or they might be feeding into a future one. And then also it gives me context as to if I should expect to see a repeat invoice. For example, if there's like if there's one from Abbey Road Studios, I feel like I said that wrong and that's embarrassing. Abbey Road Studios, and then I see invoices from musicians, I'm likely to see more musician invoices because there's a few of them if it's an orchestration. And then if they need to do some re-records, or if there's like, if it's quite a big film or if it's a few episodes of something, I know like who to expect or make myself familiar with something like that. So yeah, that's part of my favorite thing to do.
So I say being nosy or a curiosity is really important in the role.
Yeah,
nice.
Definitely curious.
And Dominic, for you, either favourite part of the job or career highlight to date?
I mean, my world is a little bit different from these guys now. I've stepped away from the processing. So the team are there working to process all of the costs that run in the show. My main focus is the budget and making sure that we stay on budget, that the budget exists. So a highlight for me is the collaboration that entails. I get to work with some absolutely incredible individuals. I think pretty much every HOD in a department on the show that I'm on that could win an Oscar has won an Oscar. Our DOP has 3, our director has a couple. So, I'm sat in rooms going through how to make their vision come alive, in a financially viable way. And so I get to be a part of conversations and be around and work with people that are, truly incredible at their craft, which I think is just, constantly inspiring. And so I think I'm a bit like Gabe. I like to find solutions to problems and do a bit of digging. And so I think, having that thirst for kind of figuring things out and, you know, solving, whether it be you're into kind of, I don't know, I think a lot of the team here do like the daily New York Time connections game and how to solve, you know, just all these things that are constantly kind of keeping your mind going. I think if that's you, I think it's, you definitely have a place here. But and highlights for me particularly have just been the places that I've traveled to. I touched on some of them before. I've worked on huge films in amazing countries, and I have so many friends around the world that I lend to the fact of the film industry, and I've seen so much that I would never have gotten to see. So yeah, that is definitely a major highlight of working in this industry. Just the opportunity and the people that you meet on a day-to-day basis is just, it's really wonderful.
It sounds incredible, and very much kind of the beauty of high-end TV and film. Like, you're working with the best of the best and seeing how it all comes together, all the way through from start to finish.
Yeah.
First one's in, last one's out. So okay, so we've got more questions than we have time, and there's some specific questions around kind of eligibility and so on. So I'm going to direct people to, you know, finding out further information via yourselves. I'd also love to hear our audience's feedback as we just finish up on the final question. So please do click on the link in the chat for your feedback. We'd love to hear from you as to what you've learnt from today. And if you do have a specific inquiry around eligibility, for instance, that hasn't been answered, then please do look on the website and or email directly to find out further information. So I'm kind of going to close on networking tips, if that's okay. So if everyone here could share their top tip for networking in your industry, whether that relates to this training role or just more generally, what are each of your networking top tips? Starting with Jackie.
Well, once you're in, it's easy because you can get to know people, and that's what it's all about, isn't it? But before that, I guess it's about I suppose attending industry events where you can, or even like, for example, Pinewood have an open day every year. It's a phenomenal event where loads of crew and vendors and stuff are there. So that's a great opportunity to go along and meet people. Career shows, there's lots of industry relevant careers events. There's one in I think Islington next month. Next month. So if you can do some research into those sort of events, then you can go along, and there's usually crew there attending those events, so you can get to meet people. The industry is so much more open than it used to be. It is possible now to reach out to people and get in touch and ask questions. So, you know, read the credits. If there's people you admire, you know, reach out to them on Instagram or whatever, you know, give it a go. People are pretty willing to talk about their successes if you're interested. So, yeah, a start of a 10.
Cool. Put in the ask. Nice. Thanks, Jackie. Who wants to go next?
Sorry, Gabe. I think one of the things I'd love to say to you all, and I wish somebody had told me sooner, is that your peers are just as important as your superiors. I think people focus on, you know, making a great impression on me, but the amount of time that when I'm looking for new crew, I speak to the crew that exist in the team, the people that I know and I trust, and I trust their recommendations as much as my own. And so please use your peers. Don't discount how much, you know, as much as, you know, Gabe's fantastic at coming in to make me a cup of tea and keep me going and keep me sane. He does that for the team as a whole. And that is so important, creating a relationship with the team, because they will remember him as much as I will, you know, in his future career. So yeah, don't forget about the people around you. It's not all about the people at the top.
Great advice. So it's not just kind of what they call horizontal, it's also about kind of more lateral, horizontal networking. Justina?
Yeah, Jackie said a lot of what I was going to say as well, but I was going to advise for like short film nights as well. In whatever city you're in, they're everywhere. And as well, like if you're a fan of Reddit, like there's a lot of filmmaker groups on Reddit that share their work and share what they're actually doing, and they're really like free with information as well. And then when you've made your network, it's just about asking people questions about themselves, what they're up to and what they're watching, and popping up on Instagram, being like, hey, just saw your story, this looks cool. And not being afraid of being like a little bit cringe, but also not annoying. So finding that delicate balance.
Great advice. And to finish with Gabriel?
Yeah, I think following on from what Justina said, I think you potentially underestimate how keen people are to speak about their job, no matter what sort of level they are. I think people are much more willing than you would assume going into a conversation to talk through their process and what they do on a day-to-day, what projects they're working at, the problems they face. So I think, yeah, just be sort of confident with it. I think obviously you could tell if people potentially aren't in the mood for a conversation, but I think, yeah, people are much more willing than you'd think. And I think in terms of from a perspective of being in a production, for sort of socializing and networking within and getting to know all the different other departments for your role, I think one thing to keep in mind is obviously you're walking around sort of the production offices. There's a lot of heavy hitters around, people very busy. So potentially don't sort of run up to someone and go, hi, my name is, and then ask them those questions, because they could be, going through a lot at that moment. So I think it's gradual. So I think if you walk around people, walk around with a smile on your face, occasionally hold the door open for someone if someone's behind you. And then that sort of escalates into you say good morning, then potentially they ask your name. And I think, just be sort of natural with it. Don't sort of force the progression. I think eventually as long as you're sort of pleasant, you'll get to know everyone, and that will be very beneficial for you.
Amazing. The networking long game explained perfectly there. And thank you so much, everyone, the whole panel, Justina, Dominique, Gabriel and Jackie, for your time, your contributions, the generosity with your insights and your advice, top tips and guidance. Thank you, CA team behind the scenes, and especially thanks to our audience who made the time today to turn up and show up. And thank you for your questions asked in advance, asked in the Q&A function. Much appreciated. It's generated a really lovely discussion, which I've really enjoyed. A reminder that this opportunity closes on Monday, the 26th of August. So get your application in. We'll be posting a recording of this session on the job listing page. So if you want to rewatch any of that top tips, the gems of advice that were shared, you can geek out there. And I wish you all the best of luck with your application. And I hope that the programme is a huge success this year. So thanks, everyone. Cheerio. Bye-bye.